Good evening and welcome. Chelsea are in action up against the Old Lady tonight, so the Kings are in the Old Lady's backyard. It's a big one. Champions League nights, they're always very, very special. In the company, in the studio, of the brilliant Savage Dan and Zach Jello. Dan, I'll start with you, mate. It's got a feeling about it tonight, hasn't it?
It does. It always does when we play Juventus. It's two European giants. You know, I'm happy to say we are now European giants. We are. We're always around in this competition.
Talk about the elite, Zach, don't we? And Juventus are definitely in that bracket when you talk about it. But like Dan's just said, you know, we're going there as Kings. We're going in with a swagger and a piece of silverware.
Yeah, I mean, this could be a game for the history books. Chelsea versus Juventus. Obviously, Juve are such a mainstay in this competition. They've been throughout their history. Whereas we're maybe a bit more of the newcomers. I say newcomers. For the past 25 years we've been here. But now we've won it twice. So I think, yeah, it's going to be a great game.
Chelsea women are also in FA Cup action tonight. We'll keep you updated with that. And we are joined by a very special guest, the brilliant Mark Schwarzer. Mark, how are you, mate? Are you well?
I'm very well, thank you, guys.
We're looking forward to having you tonight. But first, we've got a little bit of a hype reel as well to show just how brilliant you've been in Champions League action in the past for us in the Atletico Madrid game. Now, we had you on last year, and didn't we, in the run-up to the Champions League final. So I'm not saying there's pressure on you to replicate that and get us there again. But, I mean, some of these saves in here, do you look back with fond memories on this one?
Absolutely. You know, to play in the Champions League semi-final was a dream come true for me. Obviously, one of the big reasons why I signed for Chelsea was the opportunity to play in this amazing competition. Obviously, you don't want it to be in the same, the circumstances that actually occurred. However, you take it when you get it, and I was very fortunate to have gone out there and played, and I loved every second of it.
Now, I don't want, obviously, I'm giving you a tap in here, but we all had this chat off air that it's got to be a lot harder for a goalkeeper to come on as well, because you don't get those little touches to feel your way into the game that you hear so often. So you've got to be at it straight away. And away at Atletico Madrid, there's no bigger test, is there?
No, there's not, and you're right. You have to be at it, and that's part of the challenge of being a number two. I mean, as some would say, it's pretty easy, cushiony sort of job to be a number two, but it isn't really. I mean, you have to be ready. You have to be ready at a moment's notice. Your preparation is always a bit more difficult because you know you're not starting. There's a chance you won't play, or probably a high chance you won't play. So it's probably more about the mental approach to preparing for a game than anything else, because you've done all the physical things leading up to it. So it is pretty tough, I have to say.
Let's have a little look at the team that then Thomas Tuchel has selected for tonight. In goal is Eduard Mendy, a back three of Antonio Rudiger, Thiago Silva, Andreas Christensen, Marcos Alonso, Mateo Kovacic, Jorginho and Cesar Azpilicueta, captain in the side, of course. A front three of Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech and Romelu Lukaku. Busy bench, obviously, in European competition. Kepa, Bettinelli, Werner, Loftus-Cheek, Chalobah, Saul, Barkley, Hudson-Odoi, Chilwell and Sarr. Zach, any surprises in that 11 for you tonight?
Not really. Obviously, with the injuries that we have, and obviously Mason Mount and the English boys kind of missing, I think that is probably our strongest starting lineup. Maybe you could swap in Timo Werner there as well. I had maybe an outside shout that Loftus-Cheek could be starting, but it is a Champions League game against tough opposition. So you're going to start your best midfield, your best defence, your best attack, and I think that's the right choice that Tuchel's made.
Mark, we've seen the goalkeeper situation for Chelsea. Obviously, the early part of the season, Eduard Mendy is a mainstay. Kepa comes in for a couple of games and does really well. Obviously, was the hero in the Super Cup as well. When you've got two very competitive goalkeepers, we're having that conversation now. We're not quite sure who's going to start. That can only be a positive from Chelsea, can't it?
Absolutely. It's a big challenge for the manager, Thomas Tuchel, to balance, players' desires and needs to play week in, week out. As we all know, for a goalkeeper, it's so difficult to play enough games. So his challenge, the manager's challenge, is to keep both of them very hungry. I think he's made it clear that obviously Eduard Mendy is his number one, but Kepa is there to really back him up and do a job when needed, and he's done it every time. So you have to applaud the manager and obviously applaud the goalkeepers themselves, because they've done really well. And it goes back to that mental approach. They're both obviously very switched on and very determined to do well for Chelsea.
Like you said, Mark, he's definitely not a number one. It's like a number one and number 1.5, isn't it? You've almost got two. You've got two that could easily step in at any point. That's such a healthy position to be in, Dan, and it's the same at the other end of the pitch. Like Zach's already mentioned, Timo Werner, no one would have been surprised if he gets the nod. No Mason Mount, no Christian Pulisic, but Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech comes in. It could have been Ruben Loftus-Cheek. It could have been Callum Hudson-Odoi. Romelu Lukaku is obviously the mainstay up there. But that flexibility and the opportunity, again, we talk about that all the time. But the depth that we have in the squad, it is an opportunity whenever you get the chance.
Yeah, and because we're a team fighting on all fronts for all these trophies, we need a big squad and we need, players that are capable of stepping in and making a difference. Obviously, you're going to have Romelu as your starting number 9. But it might not work, and you might be having an off day and you need somebody to come on and make an impact, or somebody to come in and work off him. And we're lucky that we have so many great players and so many different solutions to different problems.
Absolutely right. Obviously, we've got a few people over there for us tonight, including the brilliant Lee Parker, who sent us this little report earlier from Turin.
A very good evening to you from inside the fantastic Allianz Stadium here in the heart of Turin, ahead of what feels like another big night of European football. Well, Chelsea haven't played here since back in 2012. Cesar Azpilicueta, the only surviving member of the current first-team squad who was playing on that infamous night. However, Petr Cech was in goal for Roberto Di Matteo's side. Big Pete is with us here in Italy. In fact, he's been pitch side recently as well, doing a spot of pre-match media for a Czech broadcaster, along with his good friend Pavel Nedved. As for the current crop of players, Romelu Lukaku knows all about coming up against this Juventus side, of course, during his time with Inter Milan, as does Malang Sarr, who was here with Porto in the Champions League last season. He was part of the squad that eliminated Juve at the last 16 stage. Well, boss Thomas Tuchel knows that this team will provide a very stern test here in Turin tonight, irrespective of the personnel on show. Both teams come into this game with injuries, of course. We know all about Chelsea's. Juve are without the attacking duo of Paulo Dybala and our good friend Alvaro Morata as well. Well, this really is a stunning facility, an incredible place to play football. At its maximum pre-COVID, it would have a capacity of around 50,000 supporters tonight due to the restrictions. We're expecting around 20,000, with 700 travelling fans away to my right from Chelsea, who will certainly make their voices heard. Well, on the subject of numbers, tonight is all about the number 150, believe it or not. It'll be Jorginho's 150th appearance for this club. Tony Rudiger looking for his 150th start. And if we win, it will be Chelsea's 150th victory in European competition. Fingers crossed.
Wow, 150 playing a big part tonight. And Antonio Rudiger, 150th start, like Lee said, Jorginho as well. But both of those players have been such leaders for Chelsea over the last couple of months, Dan. They're imperative to whatever Chelsea do. And when we've got injuries, the fact that you've got two of those that are always mainstays is such a big deal. Yeah,
and Jorginho last season almost became, he became bigger. He became a huge vocal person and presence in the dressing room. Rudiger's always there. He's like the players' dads, from what we've picked up in unscripted. And it's important that you have those senior figures, those people that you can trust and always call on in a team like that, especially when there are changes and injuries around. You need a couple of players that kind of hold firm.
No, completely right. Obviously, a lot of reaction on social media too. Chelsea starting a lineup. You can get involved with these, of course. Back to 3-4-3. Good lineup. Let's go. It looks like more of a 3-4-3 rather than a 5 across the middle we saw at the weekend. Good lineup. We just hope this guy, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, gets more minutes. What we saw against Manchester City over the weekend was what we knew he's made to do. A win is enough. Zach, he's definitely a player that we'd like to see more of, because we know how good Ruben can be. He's been here for a while now. He's come through the academy. We know how important it is for him to be involved as a Chelsea footballer. And what we've seen is he's going to be a big option from the bench should he be needed this evening.
Yeah, and he's so versatile. He can play in the 8, he can play 6, he can go further forward in 10 if needed. And I think he's kind of, over the past 2 games against Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup and that cameo against Manchester City has showed Tuchel that he can handle this kind of pressure. He can handle playing again continuously and has the fitness for it. It's on him to try and work hard to get into essentially the starting 11. At the moment, it seems kind of locked down between Jorginho and Kovacic, and it seems like that's that role that he's going to be playing in. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's nothing better than seeing Ruben Loftus-Cheek in a Chelsea kit, playing at Stamford Bridge, on the ball, driving forward from midfield. It's a beautiful sight, and he's so strong and is so intelligent and skillful that he can do whatever, he can be successful whatever position he plays in.
Completely right. Mark, I do wonder as well, because as fans we get caught up in the nostalgia and the romance of players that have come through the academy and players that love the football club as much as we do. Obviously, you played with John Terry and Frank Lampard that were very much of that ilk as well. How important is that, whatever club you've been at, to have players within the dressing room that know what it is to come through and make that journey from sort of start to finish to become a professional player at this club?
I think it's huge. I mean, it's that connection, isn't it, between the fans, the club itself. They really feel part of it. They feel like they've watched these players grow up from kids into mature adults and being mainstays in the side. I mean, Chelsea, over the course of time, have done that with players. I think what was special is the amount of players that have come through now. It's Reece James, Mason Mount in particular, Loftus-Cheek, like you mentioned, has been around for a while now. I'm excited to see these young players getting opportunities and playing so well and really deservedly being in that starting 11.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Time now to do the social. Okay, so this is the social, a chance where we get to look across all the things across social media through the eyes of a Chelsea fan. We'll go through the trending topics of the week. We'll do a little bit of getting to know our opposition in Juventus tonight. We've got a quiz to put the boys to their test. Again, none of them knew this was coming as well, so you can see the fear in their eyes already jump up, in case you missed it as well. But let's start with Show and Tell. So Show and Tell is a game we do every single week, Mark, which I'm going to need you to be the judge of, as well as yourself in the comments. You need to comment down below which goal wins it, OK? So we've all picked a goal which is like an early Chelsea goal. It's going to be their first Chelsea goal. This is Oscar's, not technically his first, his second goal, but it was in the game where he scored his first. Second of the afternoon against Juventus. This is why we're doing it, because when you're scoring one of your first goals for the club and it's an absolute worldie like that, you've got every right to have a little chat about it. I mean, what a goal this is. The first touch as well, round the corner. He almost runs round the M25 to get to it as well, Mark, doesn't he, before whipping it? He gets such good purchase on it. And again, from a goalkeeper's perspective, I suppose when it goes in like that, you kind of just hold your hands up and go, yeah, fair play.
Yeah, no, listen, he was a phenomenal player, Oscar, for Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, I remember the goal very well. And phenomenal play, phenomenal touch, movement. Oscar on his day was at times unplayable, and that's a wonderful goal.
Really, really is. Right, well, let's have a look at the first goal for Show and Tell today, which is my goal, which I've picked, which is Willian's first goal for Chelsea. And it is an absolute screamer as well. Nice little interchange down the right-hand side here. You can see it come to him, and then bang. No real backlift. Smashes through the ball into the far corner. Goalkeeper gets the glove on it, but the sheer power of it is an absolute strike.
Weak foot as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, like you said, there's that weak foot. Don't know if you can call it a weak foot when it comes like that. Bang. Absolute rocket. What a hit that is. That's going to be a tough one to beat. So, again, if you agree with me, make sure you comment Willian in the comments down below. Or Joe. I'll take the credit. It's absolutely fine. Our second goal is yours, Dan, which is the magician.
It is. I picked him last time I was on. I'm going to pick him again. It's Gianfranco Zola. It's a set piece. It's a free kick. It's miles outside the box. Keeper can't get close.
Legit.
I've got this on videotape as well. It's the same season.
It's even the defender running back onto the line to
Look,
try and run it out.
We haven't even got a stand there. We're missing a whole stand. How can you not pick that?
For a first goal for Chelsea, that's very, very special. Zach, you've gone big as well, mate, haven't you?
Indeed. I've picked none other than Portuguese legend Deco. This goal against Portsmouth is, quite frankly, ridiculous to score on your debut at the Bridge as well. I mean, David James in goal there, a very good goalkeeper, but cannot stop that from Deco. I mean, similar distance, and I think it's the same side as Trevor Chalobah on his first debut as well for the
opening day of the season as well, wasn't it?
Opening day of the season, but yeah, what a goal, what a day to do it at the Bridge, and yeah, there you go, Deco.
You know, I remember the excitement as well when we'd signed a Barcelona midfielder as well. Like, very excited. Mark, I'm going to put it on you then. Who do you think the winner out of those 3 goals?
I'm going to have to say Willian. I mean, I was there when he scored that goal as well. It was the time when I was at the club. But that's not the only reason. I think that the sheer class of it, it was unstoppable. I have to question the other 2 goals. As great a player as Zola is, and as great a player as Deco is.
Call David James out.
Yeah, Jambo, I'm going to have to say sorry, buddy, you've had one there.
Mark, you've always been my favourite, mate. You've always been my absolute favourite. Good decision, good choice. Make sure you get your comments in below as well, who you think won that one. Let's get on to trending then. And the trending topic this week, I suppose been kind of don't panic really, because that's what it was after the weekend. Pat Nevin coined it brilliantly in the studio after the Manchester City game. Let's have a little look at the goal from Manchester City at the weekend. And it's one of those games, Zach, you're in the stadium to watch it, so obviously get your reaction from it as well. City had a lot of the ball, had a lot of possession. They'll do that to teams, but I suppose when a goal is conceded like that and it's a bit of a deflection, that's all that separates them. It is one of those games. That's what happens in football.
I think that's why fans kind of felt frustrated, was that even though everyone understood Manchester City were probably the better team, they played fantastically, pressed really, really well. They didn't really have any clear opportunities. Mendy pulled off some great saves, it has to be said, but no clear-cut opportunities. And the fact that with the goal we conceded like this, it took a deflection, it was a bit unfortunate to concede. I think that's why people felt annoyed. But I think, look, if we're going to play Liverpool, we're going to play Spurs, we're going to play Arsenal, we're going to play Aston Villa, Crystal Palace and City, and only lose one of them, I would have taken it. But if you told me that at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely right. But again, it's a reflection of the standards that we've set, isn't it? I mean, look at some of the reaction on. We were poor today. City deserved this win. Chelsea weren't brave enough today. Game started at 70th minute for us. Bad day at the office. Game on. Mark, I suppose there is an element of that. It wasn't our greatest performance, but at the same time, we're champions of Europe. We've won the Champions League. We've lost our first game in what feels like 6 months, even a little. I know I'm taking the summer into consideration with that as well, but we've been on such a good run, set such high standards that you are going to get days like that. This is football. You don't win every game you set up for, and sometimes you have to take it on the chin. Yeah,
you do. But I get the frustration as well, because Chelsea kind of almost went back to how they played against City last season in the Champions League final. Sat back a lot, tried to hit them on the counter. And it was a really scrappy goal to concede, just one of those things. I get the frustration. And you saw it with the manager after the game, how frustrated he was, because he clearly didn't want his team to do what they did.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And we love Thomas Tuchel's honesty on that. Maybe this is something as well. Quite a lot of people picked up on this. The fact that we didn't really have a number 10 as well playing. Obviously, Mason Mount's such a big miss, but City deserved the win. We did not play with enough intensity, and our attack looked poor because we had no number 10 to exploit. I think it's very obvious that Mount is very important to how Chelsea plays. It's a painful defeat, but we move on to the next game. Dan, they do come around thick and fast. We're without Mason Mount again tonight, but every game that Mason doesn't play, we see how important he is.
Yeah, exactly. He's Mr. Chelsea. He's Mr. Consistent. Always willing to try and hurt the opponent with his first move. And we did miss him in that game, because although it wasn't a definitive 10, there was essentially a 10 position left that you would expect him to fill that void. But, you know, we lost one game. It happens, you know. We've beat City 3 times in a row. We lost 1-0 to them. You know, didn't have a big hangover. We're back here today. Playing Juve, and we've just got to kick on. We've got a good enough team and a good enough squad and a good enough manager to assess what happened and to act accordingly. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Let's have a little look at a bit more reaction then across social media from that defeat of the week. And we've been pretty poor of late. Both games against Villa, Zenit, and the first half against Spurs. Almost all wins have been take the points and run types. Today's performance was no surprise. Can only hope it's the wake-up call we need. And it's another one as well. Title winning sides, take those points even when they aren't playing well. This will absolutely wake them up, motivate them to prove a point. We might otherwise have gone into this soft set of fixtures without that focus and dropped bad points like in previous years. I suppose there is a little bit to that, Mark, in the way that, you know, it's a disappointing way to drop points, and potentially Chelsea haven't been at their best. But isn't that a scary prospect that we've only had one defeat in the first 6 or 7 games? And we've not been at our best yet, and now we've got quite a favourable, obviously after tonight. And you know, no disrespect to the teams we're coming up against, but it's a more favourable run than the fixtures we've had so far. That's got to be a positive rather than a negative, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. But again, we'll only know once, you know, tonight's game's played, and then obviously on the weekend, because it's about the reaction. So if it is that positive reaction you get within that change room, and the boys pick themselves up and they dust themselves off and they lift their intensity, they lift their quality of play, and it clearly, you know, there have been question marks over the quality at times. But I think the fact that you do still win games when you're not playing badly, you just got to make sure you nudge into those really good performances before things get away from you.
No, completely agree. And like we've all said, you know, not too much time to think about it, because we're back in action tonight. And yesterday, the manager was speaking to the press ahead of the game at Juventus.
Christian, Reece and Mason are out due to injury. And N'Golo unfortunately tested positive and needs to quarantine follow the government protocol. So he was not in training today and is of course not with the group. He's still very painful, and it will come down to pain management in the end, how much he can accept, and but right now we're looking at a minimum of 1 more week. We were too passive in the game against Manchester City. The defensive choices, the defensive plan in my responsibility maybe led also to this passive behavior. That was not the plan, but it led obviously to it. When we had the ball wins, it was too deep. We defended the box over a long period very, very good. So we did not allow nothing inside the box and around the box. But it does not feel good when you become so passive and so deep. Like I said, the choice of the system maybe led to this behavior. So we're all in this, and we showed that we can play a high pressing, have high ball recoveries with Romelu. We underperformed. They made us also underperformed, and there's enough room to bounce back, and then it's necessary to show. But you're right, we adapt to our players, and that includes Romelu.
They were pressing very well. We couldn't find the space between lines, trying to get out of the press, and then maybe we were running a lot behind the ball, and then we couldn't think that much to get out of that pressure.
It's such a big club with so much experience in Champions League. They will enjoy the different competition. So yes, you are right. They had some troubles in the start, a bit of a rough start according to their results in Serie A, but they were very convincing in Champions League. And you never know if sometimes players are missing. It's also the same for us. And the guys who come on want to show that they are reliable. And we play Juventus at Juventus. And it's a no-brainer. It demands respect.
Tactically, they are really strong. They know how to defend the box because they are very, very organized. Juventus is a big club, and they've been there for many years. And we need to try to break them by speed, energy. And we know it's going to be difficult. We respect them, but we're going to try to win.
Rightly so. All talking about respect and how big a deal Juventus is, which is why we're doing getting to know our opposition for tonight. 3 little facts for you about tonight's opposition. Starting with this one. This is the first time in 9 years they're in the Champions League without being Serie A champions. Obviously, last year Romelu Lukaku leading Inter Milan to the Scudetto for the first time in the best part of a decade. And this is a cool one as well. Juventus, it derives from the Latin word for youth, which is very ironic, being called the old lady, which you mentioned earlier, Dan, which is a very strange point, but I like that one. And this one as well. Their 1996 winning Champions League side included 3 Chelsea alumni, Gianluca Vialli, Didier Deschamps and Antonio Conte. Now, I was going to come and have a little chat about how it feels to be playing Juventus at this stage of the competition. We speak about playing latter ends of European tournaments. Mark Schwarzer has got a very first-hand experience of that. One of the, I'd imagine, Mark, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but certainly one of the greatest games that I can think of as a neutral watching it on when your Fulham side beat them 4-1 at Craven Cottage. But the team with Cannavaro was in it, Trezeguet was in it. What was that like coming up against Del Piero as well, I think, coming up against the Italian giants that were Juventus? How was that?
It was amazing. I mean, we lost the first leg 3-1 away from home. We got outplayed. We deserved to lose. But the away goal was obviously so important. At home, we had nothing to lose. And at Craven Cottage, we were always formidable, always in people's faces. And we took the game to them. And it goes down in the club's history as being one of the greatest nights that was ever played there. So, yeah, it was amazing. Absolutely incredible. Let
me ask you as well, Mark, because from a fan's perspective, we don't think there's anything different. But is there something different in the way you approach group games to knockout games in the latter stages? Because this Juventus game, like we keep saying, it feels like it should be a last 16 or a semi-final game, but have it being the second game in the group, do you have to approach it differently?
Well, you do a little bit. Obviously, it's not a do-or-die fixture. It's not a case of trying to protect the score, get a score to then protect or to for the second leg. You've got a number of games in the group stages to make sure you navigate your way through the knockout stages. So, yeah, it is very, very different. I think the latter stages of the group games is when, obviously, if teams desperately need to win games, you see that knockout kind of atmosphere come back into it. And nothing beats that knockout feeling, I have to say.
Lots of build-up continuing to Chelsea versus Juventus. We just had a message from Lee Parker as well, who's caught up with Alvaro Morata at the game, so obviously not involved. But Lee's exact quote, and I'm not going to misquote him because I've had this in my ear, Lee, which is he's still ridiculously good-looking. so he's a good-looking boy. Fair play. And if Lee Parker's saying that as well, right? Let's get into the quiz for tonight then. Okay. So Mark, I'm going to get you to play along as well. So this is the team. We saw the Oscar goal earlier for Chelsea Juventus in 2012. So we want to do starting 11. Okay, so the starting 11 for Chelsea on that night from that game. Mark, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, gosh. Petr Cech.
Yep.
In goal.
Yep, starting goal. Hold the thought. We'll go around the table. Last man standing. Go on then, Dan.
Ashley Cole.
He started at left back. Good work.
Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar. Yeah, scored both. Mark, back to you.
Ivanovic.
Yep, started right back. Dan.
John Terry.
Centre half, captain, of course. Zach.
Ramirez.
He did. He got booked and come off in the 68th minute. Mark.
Don't do that.
Didier Drogba.
No Didier Drogba. So that's the first life gone. You're still in though, Mark. I'm giving Mark the first life. So now we're knockout. Go down.
Juan Mata.
No.
He came on as a substitute. I'll give it you. Zach.
Oh, God.
That's a good one, that. There's a couple you'll kick yourself here.
Gary Cahill.
He was on the bench. Did he come on?
Yes.
No, he didn't. No.
Oh, God.
Ryan Bertrand came on. OK, Mark, you're up.
Oh, gosh. Joe Cole?
No Joe Cole, I'm afraid, either. So, Dan, for the win. Take it.
Eden Hazard.
Yeah, he started. Yeah, good work. Good work, Dan. Fantastic work. So let's have a little look at the photo of the team.
Was David Luiz in it?
He was. Petr Cech, Ivanovic, David Luiz, John Terry as captain, Ashley Cole, John O'Connell,
Fernando
Frank
Torres.
Lampard, Ramirez, Eden Hazard, Oscar and Fernando
It
Torres.
was either Gary Cahill or David Luiz for me, and I went with Gary.
The bench was Ross Turnbull, Oriol Romeu, Juan Mata, Victor Moses, Gary Cahill, Cesar Azpilicueta on the bench that night, and Ryan Bertrand as well. That's not bad, boys, to be fair. I'm quite impressed with all of that. That's a really good showing. Let's move on to In Case You Missed It then, which is each week we look at the kind of the lighter side of social media. And former Chelsea and Juventus manager Maurizio Sarri has got himself a new assistant manager. Gary Lineker has said it's not him. Although, what can't speak can't lie. That does look like him, Mark, doesn't it? It does.
It certainly does, yeah. You can't imagine him being assistant manager to Maurizio Sarri.
It'd be some behind-the-scenes documentary, that wouldn't it? That really would. Dan, have you... I'm putting this on you because we spoke about this earlier, but have you had any lookalikes, any little mentions like this? And if you don't want to say it, Zach will tell the story.
Zach was going to say it, so I may as well just say it. Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I'll take it.
Yeah, hey.
I'll take it.
Oh, yes, you will take it.
I've had a couple of Will Smiths every now and then.
And Zach, you were saying you had a couple?
I just get anyone that's got a beard and curly hair and
What name,
white.
Zach? Just say names.
Big Zoo and SX is the main one.
Evening, boys.
Yeah, how you doing, well, lads? Yeah, anyone with a beard and curly hair, fair.
OK, let's move on to this as well. We've seen players not having bottle. Matteo Destro literally scored a goal whilst holding a water bottle in his hand this week. I don't quite know how I'd feel about that one, Mark, to be honest with you, because it looks like he's taking it very relaxed. But when he finishes with a bottle in his hand, fair play. Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's a bit weird, that one. I'm not sure what the referee's thoughts on that was. Holding an object in his hand when he's scoring a goal, particularly a water bottle. I'm not really sure. But, hey, listen, he got away with it.
He did very much get away with it. And this is one as well. I'm not quite sure that Peter Shilton is in charge of his own Twitter account. From Peter Shilton's account, happy birthday to my wonderful husband, Peter Shilton, who I absolutely adore. We've all been there, Mark, and when we've accidentally clicked on the wrong profile, we've all done it.
No, sorry, I haven't.
No, fair enough. All right, but very quickly then, I'm going to put you on the spot, Mark. What's your prediction for tonight?
I'm thinking Chelsea's going to win the game. I think it's going to be pretty close, but I'm looking at a 1-0.
Yeah, we'll absolutely take. Let's have a look at some of the social reaction then before we hand over to our commentary team. A few more. Best of luck to Chelsea tonight. We need a morale-boosting performance tonight. Nice little Friends gift being used there as well. Good work. And
Simple but sweet.
Just win. to the point. To the point. I think that's absolutely to the point. Right, boys, thank you very much. Mark, we'll see you at full time. Myself, Dan and Zach will be back at half time. So it's time to pass you over to our commentary team of Pat Nevin and Matt Davies-Adams.